This is a story about how everyday objects, things we take for granted, can mean the difference between life and death. Maya wasn't one for dramatics. She liked her life predictable. A quiet job, a small apartment, and the occasional weekend hike to pretend she was more adventurous than she really was. This time, though, she bit off more than she could chew. A solo trip into Bear Canyon was supposed to be simple, a chance to escape her phone, her co-workers, and the weight of life. But nature, as it turned out, wasn't about to let her off easy. The storm hit out of nowhere. One second, Maya was admiring the trees bending in the wind, and the next she was on her back, staring up at a grey sky. She'd stepped on a loose rock, and her ankle now throbbed with a pain so sharp it made her nauseous. The swelling was immediate, her foot twisting unnaturally. She bit back tears, pulling off her boot. Her first instinct was panic, but Maya forced herself to breathe. Her hands shook as she tugged at the laces of her other boot. If she could find a couple of straight sticks, she could use her shoelaces to brace her ankle. A memory surfaced, something her dad had once told her. The key to surviving isn't strength, it's ingenuity. Well, Dad, now's the time to test that theory. Maya splinted her ankle, cinching the laces tight. Every step was agony, but she had no choice. Her jacket snagged on a branch as she moved, tearing open the sleeve. Rain seeped through, chilling her skin. She dug into her pack and found the duct tape she'd tossed in at the last second. Wrapping the torn fabric with careful precision, she felt a flicker of pride. Maybe she wasn't completely hopeless. Hours turned into an endless blur. Thirst clawed at her throat, and the rainwater pooling in muddy depressions tempted her. She knew drinking straight from them was a bad idea. There'd be no coming back from gut-wrenching sickness. Her fingers brushed against a tampon in her pack, its cotton perfect for filtering debris. She built a rudimentary filter with her water bottle and watched, relieved, as the water slowly trickled through. It tasted awful, but it was enough to keep her going. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, Maya realized she was in trouble. The temperature plummeted, and she had no idea where the trail was. Her hands were numb as she fumbled with the gum wrapper from earlier in the day. It wasn't food she needed now, it was fire. Folding the wrapper into a thin strip, she pressed it to her flashlight battery, praying she'd seen enough survival shows to make it work. The spark was faint, but enough to catch the edge of her emergency tissues. Soon, flames licked at the wood she'd gathered, casting shadows that felt both comforting and sinister. The night stretched on, each sound amplified by her isolation. Maya thought she heard voices, but it was only the wind. She grabbed her car keys, the only shiny object she had, and carved a jagged SOS into a piece of bark. She tied it to a branch with the remnants of her shoelace and left her water bottle hanging beside it to catch the light. Rescue came on the second day, just as Maya's resolve began to waver. When the search team found her, her fire was little more than embers, and her ankle was swollen to twice its size. She smiled weakly as they hoisted her into the stretcher. "You're lucky," one of the rescuers said. "Most people in your situation wouldn't have made it." Maya held up her duct-tape jacket. "Let's just say I had some unconventional help." The truth was, surviving wasn't about having the perfect tools or skills. It was about looking at what you had and making it work. In the end, it wasn't luck that saved her. It was her determination and a handful of everyday objects that became extraordinary.